In just 65 hours after Iran launched its retaliatory strike on Friday night, Israel had already recorded extraordinary damage. At least 385 people were rushed to hospitals, with half of them in critical condition. Reports from Israeli medical authorities revealed that dozens of them had died, and the number of injured has now surpassed 1,000. Hospitals in Jerusalem and Haifa were overwhelmed. Underground bunkers have become emergency shelters for millions of civilians. The daily lives of millions of Israelis have completely changed. Major cities like Tel Aviv and others have turned into ghost towns. People have evacuated into underground shelters, most of them without access to fresh air. Fear has crept into every corner, shaping a new collective psyche, a life lived in uncertainty. Even so, this tragedy is not one-sided. On the other side, Iran has also suffered greatly. Israel's sudden attacks on multiple strategic targets in Tehran, Isfahan, and Tabriz killed around 450 people, most of the military personnel and technicians working at nuclear facilities. At least 1,000 others were injured, many in critical condition. The war between Iran and Israel cannot be separated from the situation in Palestine. Israel, which has long worked to destroy Palestine, is furious with Iran, seeing it as a major obstacle standing in the way. Meanwhile, Iran has consistently viewed the Palestinian cause as a red line, offering unwavering support to its people. With its nuclear capabilities, Iran poses a very real threat to Israel. If Iran were to fall, the only country still providing concrete support for the Palestinian people would disappear from the global stage. This is why Israel secretly attacked Iranian military facilities. According to various intelligence sources, this operation aimed to weaken Iran's nuclear program. Yet, Iran's nuclear program, strictly monitored by the International Atomic Energy Agency, has been declared compliant. At the same time, Israel holds more than 400 nuclear warheads, hidden from global oversight, under protection of the United States. This raises serious questions. Who, in truth, is the real threat in the Middle East? Israel's goal is not only to halt Iran's nuclear ambitions. Its long-term objective is to establish itself as the sole hegemonic power in the region, overthrow the Iranian regime, turn Arab countries into puppets, and ultimately erase Palestine from existence. This war, therefore, is part of a much bigger project, Greater Israel. And Iran, as the only country openly opposing that agenda, has become the primary target. It's no coincidence that full force has been deployed to crush it. Israel seeks to destroy Iran's nuclear centers, especially in Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordow, facilities known as the heart of Iran's uranium enrichment efforts. So far, all of these facilities remain operational, with only minor surface-level damage. This is largely due to the fact that critical reactors were built deep underground. Military experts state that destroying such facilities will require bunker-buster missiles capable of penetrating up to 60 meters deep, weapons possessed by the U.S. military. Israel does not have enough of these weapons. Therefore, their attacks have so far resulted in cosmetic damage, not strategic destruction. In the end, the war between Iran and Israel is not merely an exchange of missiles. It is a major clash between two ideologies, two geopolitical strategies, and two competing visions of the future. For Iran, this is a holy war, a resistance against an entity they consider colonial and aggressive. For Israel, this is an existential defense, an attempt to maintain dominance over what they believe to be their promised land. This is a different kind of war, unlike any other conflict previously seen in the Middle East. This is not a proxy war, nor a guerrilla invasion. This is a full-scale war, state versus state, involving two major military powers with a long history of hostility. Iran is not a militia, not Hezbollah, and not a rogue organization. It is a nation with a solid military structure, an intact intelligence network, and a command chain that remains stable. even after the deaths of several of its generals. The loss of high-ranking Iranian commanders has not weakened their fighting force. On the contrary, their replacements quickly stepped up, proving that Iran's military strength is not dependent on any single figure. Israel now faces a war unlike anything it has experienced before. It is accustomed to short, swift wars, air dominance, and rapid offensives. But this time, its enemy is not a stateless group. This is a nation with significant resources, long-standing experience in facing aggression, and a burning ideology of resistance. In the first 3 days of the assault, Iran launched strategic attacks on vital Israeli sites, targets that had never been hit before. The Dimona nuclear facility, major military bases, fuel depots, the ports of Haifa and Ashdod, and military command centers were struck relentlessly. Even the homes of political leaders in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv were targeted. In Israel, major cities have transformed. Tel Aviv now resembles Gaza, bombed weekly. In an official statement, Iran's military spokesperson warned that future ballistic missile strikes will be far more lethal. Israeli defense systems, Iron Dome, Arrow, Iron Beam, and others were deemed total failures in intercepting Iran's ballistic and hypersonic missiles. Iran's missiles pierced the world's most expensive defense shields, striking their intended targets. This is a clear message to Israel. No place is safe anymore. On the battlefield, missiles and bullets speak, but behind the scenes, intelligence warfare determines everything. Since the first attack, an intense duel has taken place between Iran's intelligence service and Israel's Mossad. In recent days, Iran announced it had arrested dozens of Mossad agents of Arab descent, planted within various civil and military institutions. Meanwhile, Israel also claimed to have thwarted infiltration attempts by Iranian agents disguised as technicians and merchants in Tel Aviv. This shows the conflict is not merely conventional warfare, but also a war of information, sabotage, and internal destruction. Iran is widely known as a strong player in asymmetric warfare. For years, it has built deep networks in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen. Its loyal field agents have enabled Iran to strike back with high precision, even from beyond its own borders. Several sources reported that ballistic missile strikes on Israeli bases in southern Negev came from Lebanon and Syria, proving Iran's cross-border coordination remains highly effective. This is not the work of a weak state. This is the work of a country that deeply understands regional geopolitics and how to respond to threats on multiple fronts. The world now faces a moral and strategic dilemma. Will nations stand by and watch Israel destroy a sovereign state like Iran, or will they take a stand for international justice? The UN, the European Union, and even non-aligned nations are now being called upon to take a position, because silence in this moment will set a dangerous precedent, legitimizing a new style of colonialism. Today it's Iran. Tomorrow, it could be any other nation. Ironically, in these critical moments, many Arab countries are secretly helping Israel. According to the Enemy Watch Observation Group, countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Jordan, and the UAE have reportedly provided Israel with intelligence, especially regarding the trajectories of Iranian missiles. Some even granted limited airspace access for Israeli military operations. This is a major embarrassment for the Islamic world, especially for those claiming to support Palestinian independence. Because clearly, if Iran falls, there will be no power left to stand against Israel's dominance. Other Arab regimes will simply become puppets, awaiting their turn to be destroyed one by one. Sadly, many of them are unaware, or worse, are trading long-term national interests for short-term gain. But in truth, this war is bigger than Palestine. This war will determine the balance of power in the Middle East for years to come. If Iran survives and responds effectively, Arab nations under Western pressure may begin to rethink their positions. But if Iran falls, Israel's dominance will become absolute. No wonder many analysts believe This is the war that will decide who controls the future of the region